I talked about, oh dang, there's a couple of videos I won't be able to film on this one because a couple of these we literally cannot just show off yet. But I can do a couple of things. I don't know how interactive I'll be with the chat because I am working over here and you guys just get to watch this. So if you want to see the behind the scenes, this is the way to do it. I'll do this video. The video is called The 3 Critical Features That No One Knows About. Some of you who are watching will know about these. And you'll get some stuff here. But yeah, we'll go from there. All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're good. So what I'll do, I'm not going to narrate to you guys. You guys will see how it goes. I'll tell it after the fact. Oh, wait, got a thing in the camera that I don't want in the camera. I'll get back to you guys in just a second here. We're just filming. All right, here we go. Check 1, 2, 3. So there are 3 primary features that are really important to designing for 3D printing that people do not recognize inside of 3D printing, but they can be really useful if you're designing 3D prints. There are 3 tricks that almost no one knows about 3D printing that I'm going to show you inside of this video so that you can improve the strength and the quality of all of your parts. There are 3 features that almost no one knows about to design into their 3D printed parts, so let's run through them in this video. The very first one are support fins. Now support fins are very useful because they allow you to take your part from a vertical part and put it over into a slightly diagonal part. Printing in the diagonal is awesome because it makes your parts a lot stronger because they're not in this, the layers are not in the same plane as any of the forces. If you take a box like this, well, it could split along these layer lines, but if you take it diagonally, when the box is back sitting flat, now it's pulling diagonally across the layer lines, so it's much stronger. But in order to support the box like this, what you have to do is you have to design the box to do that. Many people will take a square box and then put it on the diagonal right there, which is a terrible decision because you have no contact with the bed surface and then you have auto-generated support up underneath it, which wastes a bunch of material and is just not necessary. The best thing to do is to design a support fin. And a support fin is a fin that comes off the side of that box and holds it at the diagonal very reliably. The way you do this is you turn the box diagonally, and inside of CAD you design the support fin to support the box diagonally just like this. Then along the edge you create a 1mm gap. That 1mm gap then has multiple sprues running up the edge. These sprues are about a 0.5 millimeter thick in order to be 2 layer lines, give or take a bit. Those small 0.5 millimeter sprues blend horizontally straight into the box. So you have the box sitting like this, the fin coming off the side, and the sprues sitting horizontal like this, so that the sprues are in the line of the layers. Many people will take the sprues and make them perpendicular to the box like this. And this is wrong because now you have a layer right here and a layer right here. The sprues are not contacting the box. You want them to go into the side perfectly horizontal, just like this. And that creates the strongest support fin because the fin is a part of the part. It's not against the part, it is a part of the part. Then you can go ahead and print your box and it's fully reliable and is able to sit on that fin because the fin is holding on to it and it won't warp, you won't have any issues, and you don't need to use as much support. It's a very simple feature to create and it can radically improve the strength and quality of your parts. Also, add a chamfer to the corner touching the build plate so that you don't have a single line on the build plate and the fin can actually stick to the bed. That is how to design support fins, which are a fantastically useful way for slanting your parts so they can be stronger and better quality. The next secret feature that almost nobody ever uses is called microfeatures. Microfeatures are small cuts and holes throughout your part that allow you to make the part stronger in certain areas. So whenever a part is being sliced, the slicer will look for the outer edges of the part, and wherever there are outer edges, it will go ahead and put some outlines around it. So you can kind of induce the slicer to do this. This way you don't have to worry about modifiers, you don't have to worry about slicer settings, you don't have to worry about anything. Certain areas will basically get a solid infill. Few ways of doing this. The very simplest example is a handle. If you want a handle to be strong right at the core where you want it to be thick and solid, what you can do is design in small slits on the internal part of this part. Make them about a 1/4 millimeter thick. These small 1/4 millimeter slits will induce walls along there. You pattern them along, and then you space them approximately 2 millimeters apart. 2 millimeters because most wall thicknesses are 2 layer widths or about 1 millimeter thick. So if you space the slots 2 millimeters apart, you will have walls fully in between them. Now all the slits along that handle space will create a much more rigid part down there by the handle and will induce a solid infill effectively down at that handle. Another way you can do this is with like pins, and I recommend checking our pins video to learn more about this. But if you have a pin sticking up out of the top of a box, like a finding feature or thumb or something like that, what you can do is you can run a bunch of small cylinders, again, about a 1/2 millimeter, 1/4 millimeter in diameter, down through that pin that reach down into the part, and they basically create this internal capillary system of strength so that that pin doesn't want to break off at the surface. It actually has roots down into the main part, and the pin itself is almost totally solid. So the micro features are a really good way of making the part a lot stronger. And there's all kinds of different ways of doing this. You can put slits along the front edge of something to make it stronger. You can use it in pins. You can have certain high stress areas be reinforced. It's a really good way to put more material where you want it by making tiny cuts that basically don't appear at all, but induce the slicer to do something useful. And you know that it will work on any slicer anytime because you have no problems with 3MF compatibility or slicer settings or what the machine is or even the scale of the part. The bigger part will still have those same features reliably working. So micro features are a fantastic way of making a part stronger inside of CAD by just putting a pattern set of slits through it. The third and final little trick is also very rarely used. The third and final trick is also very rarely used, and it is called grip fins. And the grip fins are this feature, a compliant feature, so that you can have something fit into anything else. 3D printed parts can have tolerance issues, largely because of the shrinkage of the material, but also depending on what nozzle size you're using. If you're using a 0.4 nozzle, you effectively have about a 0.4 tolerance. It's tighter than that in practice. Generally, the tolerance is about 0.2 to 0.3, but a good rule of thumb is if you have a 0.4 nozzle, that's the tightest thing you can get. So if you have that, in order to make sure that the part doesn't shrink and move, you need other parts that it fits with to kind of change, or that part to change. Rather than trying to get a hole that is perfectly correct, which will be broken if cooling is different or material is different and shrink properties change, instead, make the part actually change shape physically. So now you can have a much lower tolerance part that still has very tight clearances. So the way to do this is you can go ahead and if we're just looking at a hole, you can cut out the hole, but then around the outer side, make some slanted cuts. Those slanted cuts are the start of it, but now they're still bonded to the bottom of the hole. So down underneath, cut out a big old cylinder underneath those so that now those slots have become fins. Congratulations, you have just created grip fins. I recommend that the minimum thickness of a grip fin be about 1 millimeter. But you can make them thicker as much as you want because you just need a little bit of give, and you can technically make something 5 millimeters thick and it will still flex to a certain degree, so that can be useful rather than having a fully solid circle part that has no expansion whatsoever. The slots are a really good way, the grip fins are a really good way to give the hole a little bit of pliability and compliance so that if you put a slightly out of spec rod into it, it will fit better and you can move from there. You can also do this for lids. We have an entire video about lids where we show how to use grip fins to make sure that the lid sucks down and presses in tightly. But with, again, you are just making a slanted cut along the edge of the surface that you want to have some compliance to, and then cut underneath those to turn them into fins and leave about underneath them. The cut underneath them is about a 1/4 millimeter thick. That is the standard spacing for support. So it will go out, land on the bottom, but will break loose from the bottom layer underneath it whenever you start to push a part into it. So those are the 3 features that should be really useful for you. You have support fins, internal micro features, and compliant grid fins. These are really useful for making sure that any part that you make can be printed and come out as intended every single time. So everything fits, everything is strong and reliable, and you have the best possible part that you can possibly get. This is something that we really recommend people who are using services like Teleport or Portals do, because again, unless you want to order a prototype every time, you want to have good design practices in place so that you can upload it and know that the part coming out will be of good quality and the same, even though you might be prototyping on this machine in this material and the part is printed in this machine in this material. Designing for the process and making it really robust gives you a design that can be printed anywhere, anytime, and come out really reliably. And these are just useful to use on your own design. So if you're ever tweaking something and need to create a better quality part, just go ahead and follow these 3 simple rules and you will get stronger parts and better fitting parts. Have a great day, everybody. All right, I'll check chat here. Who's around? Anybody around? We got 20 concurrent viewers. Leave some comments there. This is how I do it. Hey, Melting Venus. We use a textured build plate. That was the first take of that. There were a few flubs in that I didn't really like, so I'm probably going to refilm that right now. Hey, Dr. Zirconium, Vichy. Guys, we're just kind of live streaming as I'm filming videos for the core video channel. So you'll get kind of insight to these videos before they go live. But anyway, that was the first one. I'm going to redo that one because I want to hit it a couple different ways. So let's try this a little bit differently here. There are 3 primary features that most people don't know about that can really help improve the strength and the fit of your parts. So let's go through those in this video. There are 3 ways you have never heard of about how to make your parts stronger and how to make them fit better. So we're going to go through them in this video and show you how to design those so that they can be printed on any machine at any time. There are 3 tricks that we try to get people to understand and people just don't know about them, so we're doing another video about it. Those are 3 hooks. Okay, let's see here. Let's say this could be been a Portals product. Let's see here. What's up? Those are my intros. I'll come back to you guys in just a second. Get a bunch of questions up, and I will answer the questions after I'm done filming this. It'll take about 3 minutes, so store up a bunch of them. Yes, it is a content creation stream. Here we go. All right. The first trick that almost no one realizes are support fins. And support fins are a fantastic resource for making your part go from printing like this to printing like this. Now, why is printing diagonally so useful? Well, if you have a simple box sitting up here like this, you have the layer lines cutting across here, which means if somebody tries to break it or pull it, then it will split along the layer lines. But if you print a part diagonally, now the layer lines are no longer perpendicular to any of the forces, so you have something much stronger. So it's really good to print your parts at a diagonal in order to make them stronger and more reliable in all directions. But in order to take a square box and print it on its edge, you have to put a bunch of support under it? No, don't put a bunch of support under it. Don't do that at all. The biggest mistake you can make is take a square box, put it on the diagonal with no contact on the print bed, and have support generate underneath it. What you want to use is a support fin. A support fin is a very minimal amount of material that will work always and also set your box in a certain orientation so that it is a really reliable print. Here is how you do it. Number 1, chamfer the corner of the box so that you have a surface on the print bed when the box turns diagonal. Now, in order to design the support fin, you design the chamfer. Now, the box is sitting diagonally like this, chamfer on the bottom. Over here, you're going to make a support fin. You design a triangle out the side of the box that has its bottom edge collinear with that chamfer because this is your first layer. You design that triangle, give 1 millimeter of spacing from the box. 1 millimeter of spacing from the box. Then, along the length of that triangle, along the box, you are going to put small sprues that are 1/2 millimeter thick all the way up it. And you can space them about 10 millimeters or so. And more is fine, but you'll leave more little pock marks on it. So the box is sitting like this, support fin down underneath there, sprues, those sprues, or the little features, they are horizontal. They are horizontal. They are not perpendicular with the box. They are horizontal. Make sure they are horizontal because you want each one of these sprues to be about 2 layers that are fully integrated with the box. Many people make the mistake of making them perpendicular like this. Don't do that. The reason is because you take it from a support fin into just support. Because it's not actually contacting the box, you'll have individual layers cutting through the layers right here. So it's not actually holding onto the box. It's not integrated with the box. There are split points with the layers, so you won't have any strength. If it's horizontal, the layer runs from the fin straight into the box, and you have this really tight hold on the thing that you're printing. This is so important because the box, when it's sitting diagonally, cannot move left or right if the sprues are horizontal. It is fully held by that support fin. Support fin, then you give a big old large base to by like designing an ellipse into it and make sure that's good. And now the box will print diagonally held up by a support fin. It's fantastically useful. It uses very little material. And then when the box comes off, the support fin, 2 bends and it tears right off. It is a very useful tool that you can design straight into it so that you don't need a lot of support, but the part is now printed diagonally and is much stronger than it would normally be. So that is how to design a support fin. Now, the reason you want the support fin is in order to make the part stronger, but there's another way to make the part stronger. So let's go ahead and talk about micro features. Micro features no one uses ever, but should use all the time. Micro features are 0.5 millimeter cuts into your part. Let's look at a simple handle. If you have a handle down at the base of it, you're going to want it to be stronger. The easiest way to make it stronger is to make the walls thicker or to put more material down there, make it solid infill so it can't split. You would generally do modifiers or some complicated way of having localized infill there, or print the whole part with solid infill, which is just a waste of material. A better way to do it is down there at that base of that handle where you want it to be strong, make a series of 0.25 millimeter cuts. Space them out 1 millimeter. That's the rule. Here is why. The 0.25 millimeter, cut that last part, editor, the 0.25 millimeter is thick enough to induce walls, but is not so thin that it will be squashed and merged together in an STL fixture. So 0.25 millimeter wide, that will induce walls around it. Most walls are 1 millimeter thick. So if you space these little slits, these 0.25 millimeter slits, 2 millimeters apart, you will have solid walls in between them, solid infill in between them. So now you have designed in solid infill into your STL. So you can have areas of local strength. You can do the same thing with pins. If you have a pin like sticking straight up out of a box, you can add small 0.25 millimeter cylinders all around that pin, which will induce walls so that that pin now becomes solid infill. You can also extend them down into the part so they like become roots for that pin, so you'd have an even stronger part. Rather than having to split across the top, it might tear out and kind of be bonded with the internal infill. We have an entire video about how to make pins stronger this direction. I recommend checking that one out. But using micro features to induce solid areas inside of your parts is a wildly underused capability. The last one that is also very rarely used but super useful because it will make any part fit with any other part is grip fins. So let's talk about grip fins. Grip fins are a compliant feature generally used for holes or lids in order to make sure that one part fits into another part and still has a tight fit but is able to have some modularity. 3D prints can grow and shrink and move, and different machines may have different tolerances or different sizes and ways of printing it. Different slicing software and different settings will change it. 0.3 resolution has a different tolerance than 0.1 resolution. All these things. You want your STL to be printable in any setting at any time on any slicer. So if you make it compliant, then it has just a little bit of give so that the clearances can work no matter where they are. So this is how you do this. To design a grip fin, if you're designing just a hole in the top of a box, after you design the hole, go around the outer edge and make a bunch of diagonal cuts that are about 1 millimeter wide. Those slots are a way to get started, but they're not done yet because down at the bottom, they're still bonded to the bottom. So at the bottom of the hole, create a cylinder and cut out a 0.25 millimeter thick cylinder underneath those slots, and you have just made them free motion fins. Small cut underneath to break them loose from the rest of the print, 0.25 millimeter tall so that you have a 0.25 millimeter spacing between the fin and the bottom so it can break loose. And then you have the fin loose up top. This is a great way to make sure that that hole adjusts its size to whatever is being pressed into it. You can do the same with lids. We have another video where we designed a whole bunch of lids. Whatever surface or side you want to be high tolerance, put a large number of diagonal cuts and then an undercut on them so that they are free moving fins, and design it slightly oversized so that they can compress in and hold the thing closed. Grip fins are a wildly underused tool. They're very easy to model because you can just use a linear or rotational or circular pattern around a hole or the outer edge of a part, and they will fill it completely. Generally, I recommend never making grip fins smaller than 1 millimeter because if you make them smaller, they're less reliable to print on and they're just not that stiff. And if you were making a hole, you kind of wanted it to be stiff to start with because you want to put something in there. So make sure that the grip fins are never smaller than 1 millimeter, but you can make them thicker. You can make a grip fin like 5 millimeters wide and it'll be super stiff, but it'll have some compliance to it. And that is fantastically useful because if your parts can adjust and move and squash together, you know they will always fit. They will always fit reliably, and you will never have a part that's too big for it to where your tolerances and clearances were not enough to where you could create something reliable. So design grip fins into your parts, and your parts will fit together so much better. So those are 3 features that could be really useful to you. The reason these are so useful is because they make sure your parts work regardless of print settings. Rather than trying to dial and tune in and have the same supplier and make sure the batches are the same in between, because it will never be the same, you can make your parts really robust so that they are always strong, always reliable, always printed in the orientation that you want, by designing these features into them. And this can be really useful if you want to use resources like Teleport or Portals where you want to start to sell prints of them, because the machine you use and the material you use might be different from what is used inside of Teleport and Portals. So when you upload a part, you want to make sure that it turns out the way you want to. And you also want to make sure that you don't have to prototype every single part. You want to have a design process to where you know when the part goes through, it'll come out the way you anticipate and the way the customer anticipates. So designing these features in give you some compliance and some tolerances in there that make sure that the parts always work how intended, regardless of what the slicer is, the machine is, the material is, who the person is, what happened, what the rotation of the earth is that day. It gets you out of tuning and lets you design, which is fantastically useful when designing final products that you want to make thousands of. You can tune a slicer all you want if you're making one part, but if you want to make 10,000 of them, you have to make sure that the part itself is manufacturable. And these are 3 really great tricks for making sure your part is manufacturable anywhere. Have a great day, everybody. All right, chat, I'm going to come back to you in just a second, guys. I'm coming back. Hold on, I got to get this recorded. Sorry, you guys had the video spoiled, but now you guys are going to get to see this video with overlays and everything else when it comes out. This is a filming day for me, so I have no idea how long the stream is going to be. But you know what? It should be fun. Let me get that assigned. After we get done filming, I assign it to the editor who's going to do this video, and then we roll from there. All right, let's see what's in chat. All right, guys. All right, starting at the top. Jeff Tismozot 9267. I'm sorry, man. What's up? Do you look at sites like Printables or Cult 3D and say this could have been a Portals product? Yeah. It's amazing how often we see designers on Cults and everything else, and we reach out. Actually, like we've got a thing right now where we message a lot of designers and we're like, hey, you should really put this on Portals. It's a great way to get additional income from your files without losing control of your files. So yeah, we do look at that stuff all the time, and we're trying to get those designers moved over. Or added on, because they don't need to move over. You can still post to Cults, but like Portals gives you access to all the rest of the world, so it's such a useful thing. Tarnis 3D, how long are your takes typically? Or I guess I'm watching in real time. Been working on some videos, although you have far better. Well, thank you, man. My takes are generally about the length of the video. It kind of depends on what the day is. Our videos, we have a title and a general outline. We don't have scripts. I fill in the gaps in between on all this stuff. For the technical videos, we will have scripts for some of the business videos where I have to pull like data and that kind of thing. Those takes will be a little bit longer because there's just a lot more cuts in them and a lot more like check the line, say the line, check the line, say the line, that kind of thing. But yeah, you did just see it live. So very often the videos are kind of as is, and then the edit pass is to add in context because I'm hand waving right here, but nobody knows what I'm talking about. So we'll throw in inserts talking about the things. I want to make something useful that's not just for decoration. Vichy 8794. Go on to Maker World and Cults and look for items that are functional. Go through their tools section, see the things that are functional, or look at your life and find something that's really good and just go from there. That's the best way of designing good things. All right. What's the best way to make a print float in water? Say, for example, a sphere. Don't use a sphere. The best way to make something float is to not use a sphere because you have layer separation down at the bottom. Use a cylinder. A cylinder is the best shape for floating because you still have a large contained area, but you also have a solid thing with no corners. Corners ruin waterproofness. Corners ruin waterproofness. Complex first layers ruin waterproofness. Don't use a sphere. Do not use a sphere. Turn it into a cylinder. Can you even do that with a lot of post-processing? I've never seen watertight prints. Watertight prints are tough. You need to make sure that your settings are dialed in just right. And even then, you'll still have permeation of water. Pots are good, standard floating water. Quite frankly, I was just talking about microfeatures. Microfeatures are a great way to improve waterproofness because you can basically have bulkheads. You have the outer cylinder, and then you put a micro cylinder on the inside, a cut on the inside, and a cut inside of that, and you create these really thick walls and kind of chambers so that you can get better waterproofness there. Also increase your extrusion ratio. Portal stores, Landing TX. Yeah, go check it out. You'll actually probably have to share your link as a commented thing there in Landing Texas. I think I've seen your stuff. You have you're posting here, so I get to say what it was. I believe you have a whole bunch of really nice Christmas ornaments over there. I recommend it. It's a good store. How would you market a portal without a large following? I am thinking of using Fiverr. Don't use, you can use Fiverr for like promoted stuff, but create 10 TikToks. Demonstrate your item, show what it is, and go through. Oh, yeah, I gotta do another video. Hang on a second there, guys. Yes. The only script you need for making a video of your portal. Hold on a second here. I gotta write this up. You guys will see it here in just a second. What? I know this is fascinating TV, and I apologize for that, but like, we're just all, what are you guys all doing? Don't you guys have jobs? What are you doing here watching me do stuff during the workday? So, in order to do a marketing video to promote your portal, you're going to do a video. The first sentence will be the first 10 seconds will be a demo of the product. Do not explain what you're demoing. Show it. Go all the way through with the thing silently. Then you can start talking and you explain what the problem is, and then you explain how you found that problem. This, how you found your problem, is the chance to say who you are and how it works. How you came about this problem. Why are you the person to design this? Then you demo the product again and say why this problem is important. And then you finish with a demo. And you do that 10 times in 10 different ways, and that is how you make a video. Advertising, just do something. Pay attention to whatever people do that works and find out why. You don't need to find out why. Just pay attention to what people works and then copy them. It's good if you know why. That is better. Joys of multiple monitors while working. Yeah, still distraction. This multitasking doesn't work. I had a question above that other comment about seeing customer name. I sent it to family and some friends and no one is fessing up to the order and would like to know and thank the person. Oh, you got an order? Oh, well, yeah. You're on portals. It may have been one of your family or whatever else it was. It may have been somebody just out there and about. But like portals, we try to drive organic traffic to portals as much as possible. So like Google search is like one of the big main ones right now, and then the sorry, I just saw Tarnis's print or comment. The shoot, what was I saying? Portals has organic traffic. We are also right now we're doing experimentation with running ads on behalf of portals. So if there are portals that are good, the team has been testing ads, so there is traffic being driven to your portals to market them for you. It's not on portals. This is like running it on Facebook and that kind of stuff towards a category of people that would be interested in that type of product. So if you're on portals, you get into that ecosystem because our marketing team will work to sell your stuff. Because we want people selling on portals. You need help getting sales. Not everybody knows how to market. So we will market on your behalf. And this is a thing that we will do. So somebody wandered in, bought your thing. Congratulations. That's awesome. I'm gonna screen cap that because I want more stories. I want more stories of people who have sales. Hey, land in Texas. Say portals is awesome. I got my first sale super fast or something in the comments so I can screen cap that and put it into reviews. What are payout options on portals? When you hit $25, you have the option to request payout up there by tapping on the sales button, and then you'll get a PayPal payment from it. That's the main way right now. Let's see here. I'm doing this. And background noise. The webcam's not from the 90s. We're just in a really dark room, so it loses a bunch of quality because it's having to upscale the light so much. And I'm filming on my main video, so it's a less formal stream than normal. Will there be an option to see who's ordering from your portals? No, there will not be. Not for a long time because again, it's like customer protection stuff. When you're selling on portals, you're like not selling on portals. Like Slant 3D is selling on portals, so it's our liability and our protection of customer data. So we can't pass that customer data through because of privacy things. So yeah. Hey, thanks, Land in Texas. Yeah, I'm gonna screen cap that. Thank you so much, dude. This is hilarious. I'm gonna share this around. You're gonna see this on like Twitter in a while or something like that. Thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Here, say this. I got my first sale in portals in how much, in however much time. It was almost nothing. It was so easy. It was way better than Etsy. Say those kind of things. That'd be hilarious. Okay. Yeah, I'm not filming with a potato. I've got the real camera over here, which should be the thing. Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah. I got people watching. What's up, Slant 3D? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, we get to put links into the comments. I forgot about that. The original poster can actually put links in, but everybody else can't put links in. I did exactly what Gabe said, and now I'm a millionaire. I'm screen capping that. It's true because it's a comment from people. Thanks, Kaz. Perfect. We need a whole bunch of reviews here that I fully legitimately as a company get to use. Just attach my portal, maybe a traffic thing. Yeah, you can post. Yeah, Landing Texas, you can post your portal here. Yeah. We're gonna get a whole bunch of fake reviews generated here. Just use you guys as like Chinese click farms to write up fake reviews. Post some real reviews. If anybody else has sold something on portals who's in chat right now, share your experience, good and bad. Like, it's useful. Portal, so easy that my wife can even do it. I like that one, but I also can't do one because that shows the gender gap inside the 3D printing world. And I don't want that because, quite frankly, guys, who are definitely all the people who are watching this right now, the girls are way better than you at selling stuff. Just saying. Like, we did a video on Slant Pod the other week about Maisie Lay, who runs Cozy Lay Studios. And she has phone chargers. And she is such a good marketer, and she is so much better than the vast majority of 3D printing businesses out there. And I'm sorry, but that's the way it is, because all the guys who are 3D printing guys are generally engineers, and engineers are very bad at marketing. So we're trying to help. We're trying to help. It is what it is. Just to see what would happen and got a sale. Oh, sick. Nice. Hang on. Here. I'm going to screen cap that one. Screen cap that one from you, Kaz. This is amazing. I did not expect this when doing this stream. I thought this was going to be like a complete burner stream or whatever it was, but like this is hilarious. Oh, by the way, if anybody's interested, over on Reddit, we pulled a bunch of data on portals, like the top selling items and bottom selling items, not what the items are, but like just the trends of portals. I recommend going and checking out that post over on Reddit. I think we may have put it on the blog too of Slant Pod. But like the top selling items on portals end up having about a 70% margin. This is top 10%. Have about a 70% margin, but they're selling the items for an average of about $18 to $20. So that seems to be the sweet spot for sales on portals. Just an FYI for anybody. It would be great to know where the sales are coming from. We're working on getting analytics into portals so that, yes, your marketing has a feedback loop. We will also add in the ability to put in tracking pixels into portals or your portals page, where there'll be an area to like paste like a Facebook pixel or a Google AdWords analytics and get that back to you. We will also add to the analytics page like source traffic. So that will be coming down. Snippet. Oh, guys, thank you so much. Like, this is so fantastic. Thanks, Tarnis. This is great. This is fantastic. Yeah, you guys are going to see all these over on like Reddit in like 10 minutes after I'm done with this. All right, I got to get back to real work. I'll come back to you guys in a little bit. If you have any questions, what is P.S. That is what you said to do. Share with friends and family. I'm not a millionaire yet. Yes, share with friends and family. Your friends and family are the place to start. Like even like Y Combinator, the startup incubator down there, which made Airbnb and everything else, they say like share with your friends and family, get feedback from them to start, and then go from there. All right, Slant 3D, calm yourself down. Jeez, we're spamming the chat a lot. No, I'm kidding. Man. I don't know if it's Chris or Parker who's in the chat right now. All right, I got to do real work. Okay, going back to the script here. Finish the demo. Yes. Let me finish this out. All right, editor, this is a video of doing a Portals ad. What I will do is I will film a Portals ad of a demonstration product using this format, and we will add it on to the end of this video. But at the beginning of the video, I will do an explainer, and we can use intercuts of that final ad inside of the video. All right, so here is an advertising template. So you have set up a Portals account and you want to start selling 3D prints, but how do you market it? The number one way we say is making 10 videos. And here I am going to tell you the script that you use for every one of those videos so that you can copy us. And at the end, there will be a demonstration video so that you can copy it completely, copy it, and then post those videos around. And this will help you get organic sales and traffic. All right. The first way of doing this video, the general one-sentence summary of it all is demonstrate the product, say why it's important, what problem it solves, and then say who you are so that people have an emotional attachment to you. That is the script. Let me break that down a little bit more for you. In the first 10 seconds, demonstrate the item. This is showing how it moves, what it does, moving it around, whatever it is. Try to have an item that is demonstrable, but if you have a flower vase, show that vase having water poured into it so people instantly know what it is. This is the first 5 to 10 seconds. Demonstrate the item. You are not talking. If you do talk, you say one thing. This is the whatever. You name it, you say what it is so that people latch onto it. And then, once you complete that demo, then you can cut into a close-up explaining it. What is the problem that it solves? Why is it useful? You will say, oh, this is a flower vase. Most vases I've seen before are really gross looking, so I've designed some really beautiful ones. And I've used 3D printing in order to design them with complex geometries that you can never find at a store. You've just established the problem. Now the person is on board with why that beautiful vase they saw at the beginning of the video is here now and exists. They have a reason for knowing that it exists. but that's still functional. Now you go for the emotional connection. You say, hey, I'm Jerry. I've been designing these vases for the last 2 years. I'm a college kid and I'm working on extra income, so I thought I would design these vases and put them up on portals so that people can get a hold of them themselves and take part in my designs, because I've worked on this for a long time and I really love how they finally turned out to where I feel good sharing it with the world. And that is your video. You have just made an ad. Congratulations. Now do that 10 more times, changing out shots, changing out wording, and just getting used to the practice, because you have just done your elevator pitch. You demonstrated the item. That piques people's interest in the first 5 to 10 seconds. You then explain what the item does and how it's solved, what problems it solves, and you explain that problem out. Then you explain who you are and why you're the person who solved this problem, so that people have a connection with you because we're talking to humans. And that is how you make a demo video. And now let's show you ours for this simple little gadget. And then editor, we will cut into an ad that we will cut using that exact same script, demoing whatever sort of object. For everybody on the chat here, I'll just go ahead and do this. Here's a massage roller. This is a brand new massage roller that goes deeper than anything I ever found. So I've always had a problem with massage rollers because they could never actually work a particular muscle on me because they just don't fit my skinny arms. So I designed this one with these really thick grooves so that they're actually able to work in deep to my skinny arms without just riding along my bone. But I designed it to be 3D printed and I uploaded it to Portal so that anybody else who might have this problem can get a hold of it. I've been fighting with it for years and I've always wanted one that was kind of bespoke to me. So I went ahead and created 10 or 15 different sizes so that anybody else with weird shaped arms can get just the right amount of massage. Editor, that is not the ad that we're going to do. We're going to find something better. But chat, that was for all of you guys. My arms are skinny, but that massage roller was not designed for my skinny arms. All right, let's talk to chat, see what's up. Let me get that video added in here. Demo, explain the product, explain who you are and why you made it. And that's the pitch. Media, filmed, the only scripts you need for marketing your 3D printed products. Okay. All right, chat, what's up? Yes, I'm packing design engineer. If you ever need to talk boxes, let me know. Kaz, I got a thing for you. We need to figure out how to make boxes that are printed in blue. Here, okay, here's the thing. You're a packaging engineer. You have probably heard me whine about packaging on this show before, if you're a podcast listener. We have worked on packaging for a while for portals. Right now, we use crinkle cut paper internally because it's protective but also decorative, and we do that in blue paper. We ship in white boxes. I want the boxes to be blue, but printing the boxes in blue is disgusting. I also don't want them to be folded. Here's the thing, guys. In an ideal world, what I want our packaging to be is a blue takeout container that is tapered so that the boxes stack together but are fully folded together. I want a double ply wall of a typical takeout container because we don't have internal pressure. It needs to hold up inside of shipping. And I want the lid to have a tamper-proof lip on it all so that you press on the lid and it's locked in and it won't break off in shipping. I want it to be cardboard because cardboard is more pliable than the plastic used in takeout containers right now. And I want it to be blue. So I want a thick-walled takeout container, ideally corrugated, tapered so that they stack and can be made and then shipped fully formed, but still not take up a ton of room, with a tamper-proof lid so that you just press it on and then a person just has to peel and the lid pops off and there's no cutting tape or anything else. Pitch me. Send us an email at info@slant3d.com if you can get me connected to that packaging. And the box has to cost less than $1.50 if we order... if I'm ordering 10,000 of them, I'd like it to cost under $1. And it's a takeout container. Takeout containers are cheap. Takeout containers, by the way, everybody, are cheaper than a standard corrugated box that's like 6 inches, even buying in bulk. And they're just so much better, but they're too thin-walled and not durable enough. We are fighting with how to make more durable packaging that is shippable. But a takeout container is like a perfect transport device and a great customer experience, but it's not designed to survive UPS. So there's full context and all the secrets. Somebody show me a box that does those things. Let me start talking back. Okay, Olavankoskal, 1381. Another possible improvement would be that the creator could hit a button and automatically have a copy or several copies made of a portal for further adjustment and color choice. I think that is releasing today or tomorrow. So, yes, that's available. Duplicate of a portals is coming up tomorrow. Come on in. You're good. What's that? Thank you. That's the box. People are watching. This is the white box we have, Kaz. These are great, but you have to fold them up. They look good, but like they're a corrugated box. They're too much effort. There's too much labor. I'm trying to reduce labor in the packing area, but that's the box. Corrugated takeout boxes. Yeah, do that. It's gonna be tough because so many of the corrugated boxes you're like pressing, but yeah. Yeah, the lid does not have to be corrugated. Like if you an ice cream jug, an ice cream tub is almost close enough, but again, not thick enough. We have looked at pressed pulp, but again, not durable enough, also not waterproof. Plastic, I don't have a problem with the plastic containers, but the plastic shatters. If the plastic was just a little bit pliable, I could almost deal with it. Jenny listens, good. We all listen. You have no idea how much information we take in. By the way, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we put in surveys into portals. So like we have almost a question of the day, not quite because it's a little bit chunky, but we get a review all the time. Nice, Kaz. Yeah, give us a corrugated ice cream container. A nice insulated ice cream container. The insulation will be the structure. That'll be perfect. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Next video. Man, this is interesting. This is really interesting doing the stream alongside of people watching while I'm filming videos. Hey, editor, get back to editing faster. That's for Parker because he's watching the stream. Wait a second. Hold on a second. I need this. No, I don't know. This is a complete inside joke that nobody else is going to be on board with, but it'll come here in just a second. With looking at the color options, now the difference is shown in text only. A better way would be to also show an actual color. Big blobs, frames are similar. The best way to show the color is to take photos of the item in color. I don't mean to be like pedantic with that, but like the color should match the thing inside the photos. So the color right now is showing up in text because we're prepping for kind of options and the dots were not very prevalent. But when customers are ordering an item, they expect the item in the photos to be what they receive. If the item in the photos is black, but you're selling purple, that is a mismatch. Now, we don't want people to have to order a prototype of every one of the colors because that's ridiculous. So we are working on ways of editing the photos to change the colors, and we are working on ways of doing like photo prototyping to where, but photo prototyping is not cheaper than regular prototyping. It's just to get photos. So we're working through a few of those things. What do you think about automating FDM 3D printing with robotics? Been there, done that, done it. Pursuit of extraordinary. We automated, the very first innovation we did at Slant 3D was automated 3D printing. We were doing auto ejection of printed parts in 2017, even before like Slant 3D was a company, at the previous company. But auto ejection was the very first thing that we invented that made it like scalable. And now with more of the print on demand kind of stuff, we have robots inside the factory. You can check out one of our old videos. We have a robot wandering around. And in one of our recent videos, we're doing a factory tour and we get to show the robot arm and some of the robots wandering around. Collection though is, automated collection is a little bit difficult depending on what the parts are that you're making. So it can be challenging, but also just space and what the machines are, because this goes back to like consumer machines and 3D print farms. You cannot have a consumer machine inside of a 3D print farm. A print farm needs printing machines. That's just the rule of it all. Okay, let's move on to the next video. I gotta get back to regular work. All right. 3D printing commandments. Okay, yes. Thou shalt. Actually, I need to go back to the... Actually, this is fantastic. I'm going to do this video because this is useful for the chat because everybody's running print farms. We're doing 2 videos, which are the 5 giant problems with 3D print farms and 5 giant advantages of 3D print farms. This will be on the Slant Pod YouTube channel. Subscribe. Here we go. 5 giant problems with 3D print farms. So you're building out your 3D printing business and you're making the decision of whether you want to build a print farm or use a 3D printing service. So in this video, let's go ahead and look at the 5 giant problems with building a print farm so that you're aware of them as you get started. And in the other video, we'll go ahead and talk about the 5 giant advantages of 3D print farms. But let's go ahead and just start with the 5 giant problems. The first giant problem, what machine do you run? The problem with print farms is that you're generally using consumer machines. And consumer machines are great, and they're cheap enough right now that if your product is profitable enough, you can purchase the machines, and as they burn out, which they will because they're a consumer device, you can replace them. And that's generally not a big deal for most 3D printing businesses, but you have to realize that as time goes by, in 5 years or so, a lot of people will have print farms with the same machines. The parts and the cost per parts will decrease, and internationalization and competition and everything else. It will commoditize to where you do not want your machine to burn out every 18 months like a consumer device. So the machinery is really important for running a print farm, but choosing the right machine is difficult. All machines are designed to be consumer products, not industrial products. So if you're building a giant print farm, you probably don't want to do that on top of a bunch of A1s because they're just not intended for that and your entire factory will need to be replaced. At our giant print farm here, we build machines internally. We do use some third-party machines in order to allow us to scale faster, but we expect those machines to burn out in 18 months. So machines are incredibly difficult. And since they're always evolving, when you have to replace those machines, you get into a challenge of wondering what is the best machine to use for the print farm. You don't know, and most people haven't operated print farms long enough. Bamboo has only existed for 2 years. You don't know how long their machines will last before they completely crap out. So this is the challenge of building up a print farm. You have to have the machinery. Big problem number 2, labor. If you run a print farm, you are running a print farm, but you're not selling the print farm. You're selling the objects from that print farm. So customers don't care that you're running a print farm and that you're busy. They want you to design a really good product with really good customer support and really good marketing. Those are the things you control and that people perceive of your business. The print farm is hidden and not really useful. It can get some good views on Instagram and that kind of stuff, but anybody looking at print farm videos doesn't want to buy your 3D printed parts because they want to build their own print farm. So it is really important to make sure that the print farm is useful to you and efficient because you are building a factory and you will have to staff it and run it over weekends and remove parts and refill machines. And refilling machines comes up with big problem number 3. Who is your supplier? Who do you buy filament from? People will say, well, I will buy from Bamboo because they have filament over there. Great. They sell out of the color that your product is. What do you do then? This is the challenge. When you're a small print farm, you can't command scale. You can't go to a manufacturer and say, hey, I need 100 spools of this specific color made. It just won't be available. It'll be sold out and you will be up a creek. Whereas using a service can put you in a position where that service is able to buy 10,000 kilograms of material so they can have that material custom batched and custom made so it's always available for you. But supply chain is really important. And by the way, white is not white is not white. There are many different shades of white, and if you move from one supplier to a next, your colors will change. Halfway through the print, the colors will be different, so supply can be a really big problem. Next up in the outline. Big problem number 4 is capacity. If you have a print farm of 10 machines or even 20 machines, if you have a surge in demand, you may not have enough capacity, and now you're not meeting the demand that you have. This is really important for print farms to realize because you very often are dealing with large spikes in demand, and people fall into the trap with print farms of thinking, I will make everything as it's needed and not hold any inventory. But you need inventory. Inventory exists as a buffer zone so that when items sell, you have stuff to throw out the door so it ships quickly, and then you backfill it from your print farm. So you need to make sure that you're structuring the print farm to do this. Problem number five, you're multitasking. Yes, you have all these individual problems of finding a supplier and then finding machines and everything else. But then as it's all operating together, you have to do all of those things at once. Rather than making your product better, you are working on all these internal processes of building a factory, finding a supplier, finding machines, keeping it running, fixing out machines, swapping things out, hiring people. All of these problems are on top of what your core job is, which is to get the part out the door. This is all doable, and it can radically increase your profits when you have that vertical integration. But, but you have all the problems of running a print farm in addition to what your actual business is. So when running a print farm, realize that all of these things are things you have to deal with continuously and operationally, to where sometimes it might be useful to just outsource it to somebody. Even though you're taking lower profits, it now becomes much more passive, and you can focus on things that increase the value of your product rather than trying how to make your product more efficiently. You can increase the price rather than having to try to decrease your manufacturing costs, and figure out how to be more efficient with your time. This is the big challenge that people can have, because it's so easy to go from one printer to 10 printers. But then once you get to 10 or 20 printers, now you kind of have a job in addition to your job, that is to where it's no longer a hobby. It is something that you are required to interact with, and you have to take care of and maintain and fix and move along, or else it all dies. Which, by the way, if you have a 3D printing business and you're just sick of running a print farm, I recommend checking out Teleport. You can plug it straight into your Etsy store, and then whenever you get an order, you will have 1,000 machines available to print the item and ship it straight out to your customer. And we have to deal with keeping people hired and keeping good machines on the racks and keeping the machines refilled and the right color consistent. All of that is on us so that you can focus on making great products. And now I recommend going over to our other video and talk about all the ways that having an internal print farm is great. Chat, you're watching here. What do you think I ought to add to that video? This is great. I can have the video kind of rewritten by the people who are watching. Pursuit of extraordinary. Okay, let's be more specific. I mean, what you think automating multicolor enclosed FDM printers with robotics that can clean the build plate and put it back clean from a purge tower. Thank you. Been there, done that. Multicolor does not work at scale, so there's no reason to automate it. Enclosed machines are a little bit overrated, because if you have a large print farm, the facility is the enclosure. Enclosed is necessary for certain materials, but even that is addressable in a certain number of different ways, which I'm not going to share here. But and then the purge tower cleaned, you're using an incorrect type of purge tower, because purge towers and purge lines and that kind of stuff can be designed in such a way to where they're removable. So that. How about something like Voron for a print farm? I don't like Vorons for a print farm. Vorons are an overcomplicated piece of machinery that are not reliable in a print farm and very difficult to maintain. I appreciate the engineering of them. I appreciate what they did for open source high-speed machines and just good build quality in open source machines. But a Voron is not a production machine. Melting Venus, will there be more colors like a dark matte gray or clear PET G? There'll be more colors. We'll add that to the list. Quite frankly, I think the next thing that'll probably release will be, what was it? Oh, brown. There should be a dark brown coming out here in the next week or so. And clear PET G and dark matte gray, we'll get those added in. But like, we have to have demand for that. Melting Venus, do you have more than 10 kilograms worth of demand for dark gray? If so, we'll add it in like tomorrow. That's kind of like minimum threshold. We prefer 100 kilograms worth of use per month. But if you can get to 10 kilograms, we will generally introduce that color for you. Rax Labs TM. Morning. Mikey Jones. I'd like to see Tesla robots level my bed manually. We almost put in a robot like that at the beginning of the year. But they're not ready yet. And since many of them are using telepresence, they're not ready yet. Why not let the customer choose between the portal creator's pre-selected range of colors instead of having the creator specify several portal alternatives? Save bandwidth and work, get less confusion. The customer, it is not less confusion. If you have a graph of sales based on number of color variations, one color variation has this many sales. 2 color variations has this many sales, 3 color variations have this many sales, 5 color variations have this many sales, 1 color variation has this many sales. The vast majority of your sales will come from the first color seen shown in the photos that is the default. That is true across all of e-commerce. So that's how Portals was designed. Also, Portals, since it's meant to be a social sharing app, the thing is that you film a video of the item that's blue, and then you have a link to the blue item where it can be purchased. And it's just better for social selling because everything is cohesive all the way through it. Matt Pet G from Dr. Jacobs on the docket. That'll actually be coming out there. I built a 2.4 in 2020, still using it, but it's painful lately. Yeah, the home-built machines will do that. But yeah, Voron's great. But it doesn't run as stably as other printers out now. Yeah, the Voron, all of the kits just aren't stable because like people don't appreciate how much has to go right in manufacturing to make something good. All right, moving on to the next video, the 5 giant advantages of 3D print farms. All right. Control of files. Guys, I need help. What are 5 giant advantages of print farms? I am biased because I don't think there's advantages of print farms. I think it's really miserable to run a print farm. And I'm saying that as a person who runs a print farm. But the ones I got here for chat are print farms give you control of the system. You get to make whatever settings, whatever parts, whatever material you want. You get to control your destiny, so you get to scale up and down as you desire. You get control of packaging because you're packing and shipping the items. And then you have control of the files because you're not sharing the files out there. Now, I think that's kind of a non-issue because like if you share your files to Portals, no one else is getting access to those files. But I need a 5th one. What's another 5th advantage of building your own print farm? Why would you do that rather than using a service? Cost. Cost, that's the one. There we go. Yeah, the services are a little bit more expensive because a person who runs a print farm will work for free, and we can't. So we have to bill for the labor inside of the print farm. Cost. Yeah, there we go. Let me restructure this a little bit. Control of the system. Cost. Control, cost, custom, and control again. Okay. I'll watch this later. Have a nice day, guys. Hey, Vision. Okay. Multi-board, landing Texas. Multi-board. What about multi-board? Multi-board's fine. Are you feeding me about if we need some filaments, other filaments now? Oh, yeah, Dr. Jacobs, if you need other filaments and you want to do mass production, just go to slant3d.com and fill out a quote, and we'll get you a quote there for that material. We use every material if people are doing mass production. But in Portals, that system is a system, so the system can't move all the time. 5th one should be paranoia for not sharing the design. Covered that, talked about files. Don't share the design with China if you're getting it 3D printed, but also the paranoia around 3D files is really overrated, guys. I apologize, but like no one will rip off your product until it has a lot of sales. So if you send the model to a China print farm and then order 10,000 of them, they may rip you off. But by that point, you should have more reviews, more infrastructure, everything to where it's not a big issue. But if you have not sold anything and you upload the file, no one cares about your file. Oh, sorry. Mama Estepresa, sorry. You agree? I appreciate that. You can print multi-board for your whole house faster. Oh, yes. By the way, I want to see somebody build a Portal store that is just like all the multi-board or all the Gridfinity variations, just like in one single store, because it doesn't like exist, and it's like a super miserable print farm thing to do, but it was like super useful for people who want to do multi-board. All right, 5 giant advantages for 3D print farms. Here we go. Editor, 5 giant advantages of your own print farm. Partner, 2, 5 giant problems with 3D print farms. These videos should publish together and be linked back and forth to each other. So I'll admit it, I run a 3D print service where we plug into people's Etsy stores and print their items on demand for them. But what is the advantage of actually running your own print farm rather than outsourcing the prints in some way? Well, the very first advantage is control. If you're using someone else, you are limited to their machines. You might be limited to their material. You might be limited to particular print settings. If you have it all internal, you have control of all of that. You do not have to bend to some other system. You can actually make it however you want to. And that is perfectly legitimate because you may have some secret spice inside of your settings. But you have to realize that when you are taking it internally, you are taking all of the responsibilities internally. So I recommend checking out the 5 giant disadvantages of 3D print farms to see how some of this stuff shakes out for the other side of it all. But control is really important and really valuable. The second thing, cost. The per part cost of having someone else print it will be more, maybe, than you printing it yourself. The reason I say maybe is because very often people will run print farms and they won't really value their own time and input. They won't value the packing of the box or the post-processing of it all or their time at all in general of changing out machines. Or even the quality of life bleed because you come home from work and then you go manage your print farm. This can be dangerous, but where am I going with this? But it will be cheaper. You might be able to source material more cheaply or use a low-cost brand because you can use a material that's not available at the service. All of that is available, so it can be cheaper. However, print services do have the advantage of being able to print stuff for a lot more people and also having data about what things should cost from everybody else. So you can use that as a secret insight to know if your item is priced too low or too high, or if you're being efficient within your own manufacturing. Because the cost of the material is not the cost of the part. You need the rent, the depreciation, the time put in, the packing of the box, the customer support. All of those things are kind of invisible costs that are baked into the cost of the part from the surface, but are not necessarily baked in the cost of your part when you just gauge by material. So keep that in mind. Another advantage of doing your own printing is custom packaging. Like if you want to have a brand where you're shipping in a purple box and it arrives just so and you have confetti pop out of it, those are things that you can control that you don't get from custom print services. Now, like Teleport, we ship in a white box with blue paper on the inside, so it looks pretty darn good. It's not some ugly brown box, but you get to have full cohesive branding with your store or your Shopify if you are doing it yourself, so that it can be done. If you want custom packaging, the thing to do is to reach out to the manufacturer and say, hey, can we ship out a minimum volume of these and I'll send you packaging so that they can be packed up the way I want them to. And that can generally be addressed. The fourth item is control of your files. Many people are uncomfortable sharing their files with a contract manufacturer. Now, there's a few ways of thinking about that. That is totally legitimate, so make sure that you're dealing with somebody who is not running a 3D print store on the side or something along those lines, but work with somebody who is established, has been around a while, has a lot of credibility, and make sure, but also realize that no one cares about your idea if this is the first time through. You have to sell thousands of a part before people recognize that, hey, that is valuable and maybe we should steal that, if they're so unethical that they should steal that. But check the terms of service, check the privacy statement. That at least gives you some legal recourse. But this is generally an overblown fear because so few products are successful that most manufacturers don't care about ripping you off because they don't want to build up the marketing. They don't want to build up the reviews. They don't want to build up the reputation, which are all the advantages that you have as the actual business, to where there's so many other factors other than just the product that make you competitive. There are people selling millions of dollars of fidget dragons right now, and people with the exact same file are selling zero. Because the people selling millions know how to buy Facebook ads, and people selling zero don't know how to list on Facebook Marketplace. So there's so many other values to where the loss of the file or even the sharing of the file should not be a critical part of your business, or so critical that it will kill you or prevent you from using other resources. But ultimately, the reason a print farm is having your own print farm is reliable is because you have control of your destiny. And that vertical integration long-term as you get bigger can allow you to make stuff more cheaply if you are actually scaling up in that direction. So print farms are really just about having internal control. Do you have an item that no service can actually provide? Then fine, you should probably make that item with your own print farm. But if a service is viable, services can be fantastically useful for doing overflow so that if you ever have excess demand, you have help. They can also be really useful for getting scale without scale before, because with a print service, you get 1,000 machines and you don't have to pay anything to have those 1,000 machines available to work for you. So there is value to that. If you want to see the 5 giant disadvantages to having a print farm, I recommend checking out that video right over here. And if you have any other questions or other concerns or ideas about why print farms can be really great for helping grow your business, go ahead and comment those down below, and we'll see you down in the chat. Have a great day, everybody. Cool. 5 giant advantages of building your own print farm. 5 giant problems with building your own print farm. All right, chat, coming back to you. If you have any questions, get them out right now, because I'm in between stuff here in just a second. Media. Media. Cool. All right. What do we got? All right. The solutions for having problems ripped off by competitors is rapid innovation and improvement on the product. Yes, Rocks Labs, that is very true. If you know your product better, somebody ripping you off should not be able to compete with you. Software is in this state. If you publish Facebook tomorrow, somebody else will go make a copy of it all. I can make a copy of Facebook today. It won't work because Facebook is already there and will kill me. But like, this is the thing that'll happen. So yeah, competition is slightly overrated. My wife and I were just talking about a multi-board kit, like a desk org kit, wire management kit, something simple and easy to print on 1 to 2 build plates-ish. Yeah, don't batch too heavily. Everybody watching the chat, spread the word. No more than 5 parts on a build plate, please, because they break up and it's all terrible. I should make that video too, just to have it out there. Olivon, Co Skull, Mama Este, just toggle the flip from basic to advanced. Notice that Mama, okay, yeah, I'm missing whatever that conversation is. In the portal profile, will there be a way to change the name of the shop? Also, it could be cool to upload an overview video on my portal. Overview videos coming through. Videos inside the listings is coming through. We're working on that. It probably won't come through till spring though. And then you get to update your profile image. Yeah, Melting Venus. I believe you get to update your profile image. If you go over to edit profile, you should be able to change all that stuff. If it's not, then we got a bug and we'll fix that. I tried teleport portals and PETG quality was notably worse than PLA. Is this expected? Depends on what the part is. PETG is certainly a more temperamental material than PLA. So depending on what the model is, the PETG part could be worse because PETG strings and those kind of things. So it is a thing to be aware of. Good thing to do is like design in fuzzy skin. But you can shoot over a message to support@slant3d.com and show us the photo, and we can see if it somehow was one of those 1 in 1,000 parts that goes through QC and doesn't get flagged. That's possible. Right now we're hiring a bunch of people, so like some people have never post-processed parts before. So there's a higher error rate for a moment while they're getting trained. We have checks down the stream from them there, but even so, like more stuff comes through. People are people. Is there a way going to be a point where we'll have our shop name as a custom URL? Yes. Yes, the portal's URL should turn into your shop name. We're updating that from the ID number to shop name, so that should be out in a couple weeks. Not the picture, the name. Is the name not editable? Editable? Oh no, the name wouldn't be editable. Yeah, you might have to create a new portals profile. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think go to edit profile. See if you're able to edit the name. It might be set. I gotta double check with the guys, but it might be set because of a few things around just information control and that kind of stuff. We should get that updated, but like, yeah, we need people selling more stuff through portals. Go sell more stuff through portals, and then we'll put all kinds of features in there. All right, moving on to the next thing. Alrighty here. Normally, by the way, guys, we do these streams on Sunday. I'm doing it now because I didn't do it on Sunday because I forgot about it. And I was busy with stuff. I was in the groove. All right, let's see here. Other next videos. Okay, yes, and then there's production ones. Oh, the API. free to use payment processing. Yes, we'll do this update to it. So we have released a new version of our 3D printing API so that any of your applications, whether they be a configurator, a model generator, or just a website that you vibe coded on Lovable, you can now plug straight into a 3D printing API so that when somebody has a model, they can click buy now and they can get the item delivered straight to them from our giant print farms. So let's talk about the new Slant 3D printing, Slant 3D printing API. So let's talk about the new 3D printing API. So this is version number 2. We had version number 1, which has been running teleport and portals. This API is for software developers who want to plug into our print farm and need an actual code interface to do it. So if you are a beginner and you are not a software developer, you should leave this video right now because this is not for you. This is for software developers. So if you are not comfortable writing code, you shouldn't care about this. Okay, cool. We got rid of all the riffraff. Now, the 3D printing API, we have done several major upgrades from the original one that was the V1. The V2 has payment processing integrated into it. So you can just bill people for the 3D print and you can take a fee off of the top for that service. And then we will bill and have credit card processing through the API itself. It is much simpler, it's much cleaner, and you don't have to build in payment processing into your website and do a double billing thing to where there's multiple fees throughout. So the API has payment processing inside of it. We have also updated shipment tracking and status updates. So the API does now send back updates of the print as it's going through the process. So it will show submitted, processing, printing, in review, packing, shipping. Those sorts of statuses will be coming out through the API via an individual call so that you can give better statuses to your customers. Inside of the API, basically all materials are available. So anything that you have ever seen in Teleport before or anything we have ever had available before and have just deprecated or removed from any of the apps are available inside of the API so that you as developers have access to a much broader range of materials than individual applications elsewhere. And lastly, the API is still free. There is no need to get access to it. So you can go to slant3dapi.com and you can sign into the API real quick, get full documentation. And if there is anybody here who is not currently a software developer or any software developers that are lazy, we have added in full documentation of the API and all calls and put that into one nice little file so that you can download that and put it into Claude as part of the context window so that it knows everything about the Slant 3D API and can write out a full app for you working with the Slant 3D API. Basically just on a prompt. So we have built it out very heavily so that it's very easy to integrate into any of your AI tools so that it can just be another tool for you to add on. So if you want to try out the Slant 3D API, go ahead and go over to slant3dapi.com or go to slant3d.com and we'll lead you there one direction or another. But the API is available. It gives you access to our thousands of machines inside of the main Slant 3D print farm. And now you can add 3D printing to any of your apps without actually having to run your own 3D print farm. Let us know if there's any other features that you need and comment down below of any apps that you might be working on. We would love to share them on this channel and on our other platforms. So once again, slant3dapi.com. Have a great day, everybody. Yeah, for the chat, the new version of the API came out like 2 weeks ago. New documentation, all that stuff. Don't mind him talking to himself. It's called acting. Yeah. Would you be comfortable discussing the tech stack behind your customer-facing applications? Before retiring, I worked as a C# that SQL server environment. Yeah, we can talk about that. So most of our stuff is built on Vue. We just use Vue because that's where our primary developers worked in. We've gone through all of the tech stacks. We've gone from Mern all the way to freaking C. We've had C stuff, all the rest of it. But pretty much everything is built in Vue right now. Main language is TypeScript. We actually, one of the guys got rid of our last non-TypeScript application a couple of weeks ago, and it was a Python application that was running. We have printers inside of our, or control boxes inside of our print farm that control all the printers, and that is called, we call them Tetras. But the Tetra machines were on a Python application running on them, because we originally needed to do a lot of USB and Ethernet communication, and Python is better for USB, but we got that moved over to a TypeScript application. So it's better now, and everybody can code on all of our applications without having to learn another language or anything along those lines. I think there's one more Corduroy is still on the old one, but corduroy is also deprecated. So if you're using anti-corduroy, get moved over to teleport, because what are you doing? That's the thing. TypeScript's a fantastic language. Like, yes, just having a nice, strongly typed web development language is very useful. We did a bunch of stuff with JavaScript, but TypeScript was just better. Everybody liked it better because it just kept everybody wrangled a whole lot better. What would you build on top of the API if you had the time? Oh, here's the things we need built on top of the API. Take CookieCat, plug it into the 3D printing API so that anybody can, some mom can click on a Facebook ad, go to your app, draw out a smiley face and a cookie cutter pops up, and then she can say, buy a cookie cutter. Or you can do a signature and it'll turn into a cookie cutter. Make it consumer facing. CookieCat is not a consumer app because it's only for people with 3D printing. But make a cookie cutter generator app that will ship the cookie cutter to the person. This is so easy to do. Set up the API, pick black PLA or purple PLA, whatever, I don't care. And then have a person just draw a small bitmap, convert that bitmap into a thick STL, and then send it straight to the API and charge 10 or 20 bucks for it, for each cookie cutter with free shipping. And that's so easy to do. Somebody please make that. If somebody made a cookie cutter print on demand app right now, we would definitely promo it on the YouTube channel because it so definitely needs to be done. And by golly, if you built that thing, I'll give you a call and I'll tell you how to promote it and we'll help you promote it. We just want somebody else to build it. We don't have time for this. Another thing you could do is you could do a desktop organizer configurator. So build out an OpenSCAD server that has a parametric design inside of it to where you can change the number of boxes and things inside of it. Again, OpenAI will code this up in like 2 seconds. And then plug it into the API and people can create custom pencil cups and organizers. You could design a lamp. You could design a parametric lamp for gamer tags. So like gamers will have their tag on the back that has like their logo in it. Allow a person to upload the logo. It will imprint it on this brick. And then the brick has one of our puck lights connected into the API so that we print those lamps on demand for people. That's another one. Let's see here. I'm on a roll. I should be doing a video about this. Hold on. Let's get more ideas. Anybody else have ideas? Because I'm going to do a video about this. I'm going to share all these ideas out there with the world. Yeah, let's see here. The other one you could do vases. You could do a parametric vase app to where the vases are generated and then throw out. Again, ChatGPT and Claude will knock out an app of this in like 2 seconds. And then the last one, it's vase organizers, cookie cutters, gamer tags. Hold on. Vase organizers, cookie cutters, gamer tags. You could integrate into the Meshy API so that you could generate characters, and then you could have those characters, and people could design little monsters that can then be 3D printed and thrown out. We built an app called Conjure. We should open source Conjure. We should just open source Conjure so other people copy it. Oh my goodness. Nightlight lithophanes. Nightlight lithophanes. Do nightlight lithophanes. Good one. Nightlight lithophanes. Literally, if anybody here knows the guys at It's Litho or Lithophane Maker, they should plug into our API right now, or somebody else copy them, make a really simple one that, yes, people can upload a photo, create a nightlight, market it as creating an engagement photo gift. People can upload their engagement photos, send the nightlight to people as the party favor or something like that. And we could include the nightlight along with it from the API, all these things. What should the next topic be? Yeah. Chat, if you have any ideas for videos, absolutely bring those up. Light night on a baseball cap. Light night lithophanes on a baseball cap? Explain that more, Mike Jones. What about AI that scans multi-board and Gridfinity and then ships the prints to teleport portals as a project? Yeah. That'd be super, literally, for that, if you could have people take a picture of their desk, and I'll show a Sharpie, some pencils, and some scissors or something. You can have ChatGPT split out the outlines of those objects and turn them into black and white images that can then be imprints onto multi-board blocks, and then you can ship those blocks to people. You could organize some mechanics thing, and you could charge them $500 for it. It'd be so good. I'm holding out for fidget dragons that shoot laser beams out of eyeballs. Yeah. All right, yeah, I'm going to do this video here real fast, guys. So we just released the version 2 of Slant 3D's 3D printing API to where developers can connect their applications straight into our print farms and have us print and ship items for them. But let's go ahead and go through 5 of applications that could be built right now by anybody out there who's a developer with some spare time if they're wanting to make a little bit of money. The first application, make a cookie cutter maker. You can make a very simple application where somebody could just draw or upload an image and immediately make a simple cookie cutter for them, and then they can order that cookie cutter for 15 to 20 bucks, and then the STL can be generated and Slant 3D can print and ship that cookie cutter to the person. They can do signatures. They could say They could do signatures. They could do sick messages like, oh, get better soon, signed whoever. Turn that into a cookie cutter. And then you can run on all of our infrastructure to get those items printed and shipped out. It's a very simple app. You could probably vibe code the stupid thing and just turn loose a lovable website. All of that is very easy to do. Number 2, a lithophane maker. Right now, there are a couple of lithophane makers out there. It's Litho and Lithophane Maker. They generate lithophanes that then have a small little nightlight included in it. On the Slant 3D API, we can include nightlights along with the 3D prints, along with a bunch of other third-party parts, including light pucks and all kinds of other stuff. We'll get to those in a minute. But you could create an app where somebody can upload an image, create a black and white height map out of it that then imprints onto a lithophane that then has a standard mount that plugs on to a nightlight. Quite frankly, you could probably just sort of copy Lithophane Maker and build a similar sort of app. And then you can go ahead, have that model sent to the API, and we will print and ship a full nightlight with the light straight to the customer. I would recommend marketing this towards like engagement photos and that kind of thing, but so many of these applications are to make 3D printing an enabler for some sort of product. Because you could run Facebook ads, some 40-year-old mom could say, I love cookie cutters. She can make her own cookie cutter that's a little heart with an arrow through it, and then that cookie cutter shows up, and that's a fantastic customer experience. The next application somebody could make, custom vase maker. This could be a very simple parametric thing where people can just move sliders on the side and then the vase gets bigger and taller and wider and fatter and you change splines on it and you set it to different settings. There are a few applications out there that do that. But again, pretty simple to generate. You could use an OpenSCAD server in order to generate the main model and have the parametric settings inside of there. And if you don't know OpenSCAD code, ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, they all write pretty darn good OpenSCAD code. You can also look at our Conjure application, which uses an AI model generator and AI with a core OpenSCAD model to generate models on demand for people. Number 4, you could use custom enclosures. So people with a Raspberry Pi or some other sort of PCB could use a custom enclosure. And if you're wanting to build this application, reach out to us and we'll add in whatever material you need for this. But you can have a baseline enclosure that can then be scaled up and down, have sprues added in, maybe some sort of interface where you're placing standoffs, that kind of thing, or uploading a PCB design and then it designs an enclosure around it. This is not that difficult of an application. There is a good MVP out there for it to where it could just be an internal tool. But people can configure the basic design of the enclosure, and then the top and bottom can be printed off by us and shipped directly to them. And last but certainly not least, gamer tags. If you want to create a customizable item for this, here on this YouTube channel, we have this wonderful blue glowing background. Gamers will very often have a tag back here with their name or their logo on it. You could design a brick with a light puck in the back of it that is the baseline model. And then on the front of it, have people upload their logo and it's a gamer tag that imprints onto that brick. And then you can backlight it with that lamp and they have a lit up custom gamer tag in the back that's not just neon or some laser cut part, but could actually look really sick. And you could create other baseline models from it. All of those could run through the Slant 3D API and you build an application on top of it. But now you don't have to worry about printing parts, shipping parts, getting them packed up. All of these items are printed out on good high quality machines in whatever material or color you want. And then you can include third-party parts and get them shipped out. And none of that costs anything to start using until you start getting sales. The API is totally free and open access for anybody who wants to use it. So if you want to check it out, I recommend trying it out. And if you're even not a software developer and you're just comfortable doing a little bit of vibe coding, you can probably build some pretty interesting applications. So check that out over at the slant3dapi.com. All right, chat, what's up? I'm full of ideas. Not all of them are great, but I am willing to share. Go ahead, share them out. Sliders to tweak designs is pretty cool. Yeah, sliders to tweak designs is pretty cool. It's, yeah, a baseline design with just some sliders for changing general dimensions of it all. Way more useful than many people realize. What is the minimum quantity for you to add a third-party part to the print? Basically 100 pieces. You got to show that you can sell 100 pieces in preferably a month. We will flex out to where it's like 3 months if you need time to ramp. But generally, if somebody wants a third-party part, they have to have existing sales of the item for us to integrate it. That being said, if you have a part, we've been pretty generous about it the last few weeks. So if you just have an idea for a part and you're like, I need this thingamajig, and here's the Amazon link, we'll go buy 10 of them on Amazon and just put them into the warehouse so they're available. If other people use them, then we'll keep them around. And if not, we'll deprecate it. So we've been pretty generous with third-party parts here for the last little while. Pursuits extraordinary. Thank you, man. Thanks, man. I'm glad, appreciate that. Glad it's been useful. Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday about content and this kind of stuff, and he was like, we talk about content and I want everybody to be important about it. And I'm like, tell everybody that content is part of the product. Like when we're building portals and teleport and everything else, these videos, all this stuff, this time, all these things are part of the product. Like I'm technically sort of doing customer support right now for teleport and portals, but this is the advantage. If you're using teleport and portals, you get access to this stuff as part of the product. You get the information of our YouTube channel. You get the models that we create. Yeah, by the way, we dropped like 5 models over there on the SlantPod website if you want to go get some cool models. There's no licensing on them. You guys can have them. We lose them, rip them off. I don't care. Do whatever you want with them. But like all of these things are features of the things that we're doing. And yes, it is for us, it is marketing for the product, but like it's not. It's meant to be a value add to the product. We absolutely do marketing for the product, and we're constantly fighting with how to get that done. But it is something that we want these videos to be an add-on to it, to be aggregative to whatever it is that we're doing. All right. Final call for questions before I move on to the next thing. Is there any way to browse portals? It would be great to see what everybody else is building. Yes, it would be, wouldn't it? Trying to rip off everybody's ideas. There's not a way to browse portals right now. The main reason for it is that like it just doesn't do any value. The best case is that other 3D printing guys buy 3D printed stuff from other people, which doesn't happen. The worst case scenario is that people have people selling duplicate portals. So we don't know the way of doing it yet. Also, the marketplace, the only reason we would do it and put in time is if it increases sales of our existing portals users. And I don't know how the marketplace does that, because when we're helping with marketing and sales and that kind of stuff, we're going to run ads against a single product. We're not going to run ads against portals, come find 3D printed stuff. We're going to say, hey, here's this cool vase. We'll run ads against that and help that person sell that vase. So it is, it's building out the public version of it is a bunch of time and investment and another feature to manage, but it doesn't create a lot of value for our sellers to sell more stuff because it's just, well, it shows you on portals. Well, great. There's nobody wandering around on portals shopping yet. So until we have that, it's not useful. Once we get to like critical mass, we got to a critical mass on individual listings. So that's why we released profiles. So people can go from a listing to one of your profiles and then you can get more sales from people upselling there. We will probably start to allow people to start to bounce between profiles, like, hey, here's a similar designer or something like that. But we don't know. We don't know how to implement this. This is all thoughts of ways to do it. But yeah, right now there's not a public way to browse all the portals. Need more Shaper 3D tutorials. I'm with you on that. They were over on the Slant Pod channel. There were a bunch of those over there. We may do more Shaper tutorials here, but I'll tell you a dirty secret. The Shaper tutorials were all very sponsored, where we were experimenting with a sponsorship thing, and it didn't work. We did those tutorials, and they didn't get enough views, and they didn't create enough revenue generation to where they're just not that useful now. So we're kind of shying away from doing like individual CAD tutorials because they're out there. There are lots of tutorials about Shaper out there. So we don't know what we add to it all. Oh yeah. Tech writer? Go ahead. No worries. Um, yeah, there's just not enough churn and people wandering around on stuff. Um, Disturbed Llama. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. All right. Moving on to the next thing. So I just did the API. Five applications to build on the Slant 3D printing API. Okay. All right. Production stuff. Alrighty here. Boy, I'm on a roll today. It's been a while since I've knocked out 5 or 10 videos in one sitting because it's hard. Ooh, this will be good for chat. Imagine the 3D model AI is pretty good. Check out Spark 3D on Hugging Face. Not perfect, but if you don't know how to create AI, will help you with some good slop. The AI model generators are very good right now. You have Rodin, you have Meshi, you have a number of them. Like, yeah, a lot of them are doing very well. Ooh, yeah, Kaz, share some of the CAD competitions because, quite frankly, we'd be interested in sponsoring that. Oh, guys, also, question for the chat. Who are some YouTubers that you think we ought to partner with? We're working on a series of YouTube videos where we design products on behalf of certain YouTubers. You guys have seen a few of them. We've done some for Simone Yetch. We did it for somebody else. Oh, we did a revamped version for Scott Ujan. Just a number of these videos. We had one sort of planned for Mark Rober, but like, are there other YouTubers that you think need merch? Because we'd like to do one for like Adam Savage. That'd be sick. Designing some cool organizer or 3D printed item for him. Too Tall Toby, that's a good one. Oh yeah, we should call him out. Yeah, any other YouTubers that you think we ought to do that like creation for, and we can do like a design video, designing a product for them. Okay. Right, here we go. So when you're looking to have a 3D printed part manufacturing, so when you're looking to have a 3D print part, can't talk. So when you're looking to have a 3D print part mass produced, what is the timeline and what is the sequence of actions that probably is going to occur there in order to get your part made? So in this video, let's go ahead and walk through them. This is kind of the general timeline that almost everybody always breaks, but we try to hold to as often as possible so that you can plan out far enough ahead, because very likely it is going to take longer than what you anticipate. So the very first thing in order to get a 3D print mass produced is quoting. You will have to submit a 3D model with your expected quantity and any of your production specs into a quoting form. For us, it's on the Slant 3D website. Submit it in there. It generally takes somewhere between 1 and 3 days to quote it. We want to go faster than that. Quite frankly, we think it's better if a manufacturer gets back to you in under 24 hours, if not even faster. Someone may reach out via phone so that they can actually discuss it through to you, because that's better than email, or they will just automatically quote it and send you the quote. But the reason for the variation in the time of quoting is it might require that the supplier talk to their suppliers. If you have an odd sort of material or weird material request, we will have to talk up to our suppliers and say, hey, do you have this kind of stuff? Can you get enough over here? How much is that going to cost? Then we put it into our quote before we send the quote over to you. Big note on this. The quote is completely useless if your design is not done. There is this feature called design for manufacturability. If your design is not manufacturable, you just, at the very best, made it much more expensive to produce or made it unproducible. So if your design has not been done, has not been printed before, has not been qualified, has not been reviewed by the team a little bit beforehand, or has not been quoted before, then it's probably, you have a big, then it may not be done. So you need to be open and ready for potential redesigns of that part in order to make it actually ready to be mass produced. And this is super important. You need to have your design ready to go if you want the rest of this timeline to fall out the way it is. But presuming your design is ready to go, it's been printed before, it's been good, it's been printed through us before, and you're just getting a quote, all right, fine. The quote comes back. You're like, great, that's great. What do we do? If you're good and you approve the quote, great. You're approving the quote with those specs and those deals. Make sure that you read the manufacturing agreement or get one, or there is a clear delineation of the specs laid out. It's going to be printed at this resolution. It's going to be delivered by this timeline. It's going to be shipped by this timeline. This is how many we need minimum to get by there in case the world catches on fire. Those types of things. All of that will be around there, and you need to have that discussion with your manufacturing rep throughout the entire thing. This is really important to have this relationship with the manufacturer because the manufacturer is an investor in your company. Imagine you order a $100,000 order and then you want net 30 terms. The manufacturer is effectively giving you a 30-day loan on those parts, which means they now have to operate like a bank and evaluate if you are a customer worth doing that with. Sometimes it's net 30, sometimes it's 50% down and 50% on delivery. Sometimes it's all up front. Generally, if you are running a smaller project, the cost will be all up front because it's just easier for everybody involved and the manufacturer has a lot of small guys and you have to kind of legitimize yourself if you're a first time through customer. Later on, if you're a repeat customer, then payment terms can become more flexible in order to help your business. Because again, the manufacturer is an investor in your business. If you do well, they will do well. Okay, so the quote has been approved. Payment terms have been allowed. You have been sent an invoice and whatever payment needs to be done have been done. All right, production starts up. The first thing to be done will be a prototype if it hasn't already been done. If during the quoting process prototypes were not done, it needs to be done right now to verify that the part is good. Cool. Maybe some redesigns in order to tweak it after the prototype. It can take a few days to up to a week to do a good production prototype. That can be verified either via photos or may need to be mailed to you for testing. If it is an engineering part, you will need to test it until it breaks to verify that it is as strong as you want to and there's no variations in material. Then, once you are done with the prototype, great, we're ready to start doing a production run. The production run starts with like 100 to 1,000 parts that are just printed off, run through the system as it is, through the existing QC, what specs we know that there are, and then those parts are delivered. Good probability that a bunch of those parts will not be what you expect. They may be lower quality than what you intend or slightly different specs or something else because as you ramp up in production, you discover problems that weren't discovered during prototyping. If you make one part, you only have one sample of what goes wrong. If you make 100 parts, you only have 100 samples of what goes wrong. So one thing may have gone wrong, but then if you keep that one thing and then make 1,000, now you have 10 things going wrong. So it is very important to realize that as you scale up, more problems will happen because there's more opportunities for problems to happen. So you do that initial kind of small production run of 100 to 1,000 parts, and you find out everything that goes wrong, and the manufacturer can then update their QC list to say like, okay, this is something that they also want us to check. This is another QC check. It was originally spec'd to say that a spot less than 1 millimeter would be a rejection, but they realized that a spot of 2 millimeters can be a rejection. Great, we can adjust that kind of thing. So you make any adjustments from that production run, and now you're ready to ramp up. Generally, the way to lay out the timeline for all of this is that you will have 1 week of quoting where you do a quote. You say that's too expensive. The manufacturer says, well, we can adjust this, and then it gets cheaper, and then you say this, and then the design moves, and so on and so forth. So going through that process can be 1 to 2 weeks just to get a quote. Then you have 1 week for the prototype, and then you can have 1 to 2 weeks for like the mini production run, depending on how much ramp up is and how big that production run is. And then you would be looking at probably another 2 weeks for the actual production run, again, depending on what it is. In mass production 3D printing, it is very often different from traditional manufacturing. If you buy a mold, you're going to buy 10,000 parts and you're going to get 10,000 parts because a mold is not going to make 100 and then stop and swap out. With 3D printing, it's different. If you order 100,000 parts, we can deliver them 10,000 at a time every month. So the full production time might be 3 years. We need 1 million parts over 3 years. Great. We will produce 10,000 a month for 3 years or whatever that happens to be. So the actual total lead time will vary, but if you're making the average kind of number of like 10,000 parts in mass production, think of a week for quoting, a week for prototyping, 1 to 2 weeks for a mini production run, and then a couple of weeks for knocking out the rest of the parts. That's a general timeline to look at. So if you are thinking you're going to just jump in and get a part mass produced off demand, it's probably not going to happen because there's so much qualification to be done. It's a transfer of information of what you expect and what you need and what you are used to into a new system. So the manufacturer has to internalize everything you know, from tolerances to designs to cosmetic checks to making sure the material matches, to make sure that the printers are printing the same way and everything else. All of that brain share has to happen. So that onboarding process, you make sure you're getting the best quality parts you possibly can at the best price you possibly can. So it takes time to do that. And the biggest mistake you can possibly make is drop a part on the manufacturer and say, I need 5 of them, 5,000 of them by next week. Very often, a manufacturer, even like us, will just reject the order because there's so much that can go wrong in there to where we can make 5,000 parts in a week very easily. But we don't know what we don't know. And until we go through this full process of verifying, qualifying, doing the QC, then very likely something is going to go wrong. And if we accept the 5,000 as is, we accept all of that responsibility. But going through the process allows us to understand what your intentions are. Because the goals for a cookie cutter are different from the goals for an aerospace part. If somebody says, I want it strong, well, great. Do you want it made out of carbon fiber? No. I just want a solid infill. Great. We need to know that. That is one of those kind of subtleties there where the spec of strong doesn't mean anything until the discussion is had. But that discussion takes time. And there's a process to be followed. So if you are thinking that you may need mass production, do it now. Get started right now. Order some parts right now. Don't do an exploratory quote. An exploratory quote is somebody sniffing around, but there's somebody who's like, I've got an idea, it might sell. Manufacturers can't engage with that very heavily because, again, they're investors. And manufacturers know that 90% of companies don't make it past the first 2 weeks of the idea. So if somebody is thinking about making something, it's very difficult for a manufacturer to invest a lot of time in helping that person out without just billing for all of it. So you have to have existing sales if you want to work with a manufacturer, and you need to prove out that you know what you want and know what you need. So if you are going through a quoting process for mass production product, make sure it's qualified, make sure you have some sales, and make sure you know how to describe exactly what you need as a baseline, but still have some flexibility to adjust to what the manufacturer needs to do in order to make your part. Because however you may have made it before may be different. If you made it with SLA or injection molding before, that should not now be 3D printed with FDM. So hopefully that gives you a layout of how the quoting process, at least here at Slant 3D, generally goes. We can turn stuff around quickly. If you're an existing client and you're like, I need more of the part that I ordered last month, instantly turn you on. That's quick and easy. But if you are a brand new customer who has not made the part before, expect to have to go through this process of quoting, go back and forth, and sharing information so we make sure we can make you the best possible product at the best quality price. Have a great day, everybody. That's for the mass production side of everything. What's going on, chat? Landing, Texas. Also, the partnership with Bunker Branding, you could ship and store Tangled there and ship from there for the Southeast, Southwest region. Bunker Branding? Ooh. You should partner with Bunker Branding for the YouTubers. They do all the textiles and stickers, and you can do all of the 3D print stuff for them. Hey, do you have an into Bunker Branding? I don't know Bunker Branding. Let me look up Bunker Branding here. I'm happy to do that. I'd love to work with a POD guy folks who want to add in 3D printing to their POD services. Like that would be amazing. So yeah, Landing, Texas, if you haven't into that, ah, yeah, we could give them some cool phone stands, some stealth phone stands. Um, oh yeah, they're influencers. They work with Corridor? That's cool. It makes sense too. Oh, interesting. This also helps with like the video idea because we can like just go down the creator list of one of these agencies, um, and just run through all of it. This is great. Interesting, 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 interesting. Yeah, yeah. Landing, Texas. If you have an in with these guys, contact us. Because it'd be better if it wasn't just a cold outreach email because they'll be like whatever, I don't care. But like we can, given the artillery related branding of most of their YouTubers, we can make some sick stuff for them. And we're an Idaho company, so like we know how to do that stuff. I wanted to design a bike helmet with a windshield wiper, but don't have the CAD skills. So I just prompted some images, took those images to 3D model generator, and got some usable things. Yeah, that'll work pretty well. And then you can use those base models to send to an actual designer to refine it for like the mechanisms and that kind of thing. How do we have sales without production? Oh, in regards to selling stuff, well, theoretically, you would have a couple of 3D printers to where you started up something before. The other option is to have a pre-order or to have a sign up. Like if you haven't even built a website yet for the item or so, you're probably too early to be chasing down production. Some people, I understand, some people will be working on a Kickstarter, but even like a Kickstarter, it's really difficult for manufacturers to get on board with helping you for the Kickstarter because you're very likely not going to have a successful Kickstarter. I hate to be negative about this because everybody should do this stuff and we need more people doing this kind of stuff, but you have to realize that there's a very high probability of not succeeding and being okay with that. And then taking that non-success and using the learnings to move into the next thing. I'm seeing a lot of custom lithophane makers on Etsy. Yeah, I'm sure you see a bunch of custom lithophane makers on Etsy. It's a great business. You can sell $30 for that. Okay, let's see here. You should partner with Bunker Branding. All right, this model. Yeah, it's a nice choice. You want? Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. What else can we do? All right, chat. Final questions, because I just realized that I've been live now for 2 hours, which is a bunch, and I have filmed a whole mess of videos, which is a bunch. So let's like finish up any final questions because I think I'm going to shut down the stream here. This was a good stream because yeah, just the fact that we're filming the videos, hopefully useful information for everybody. X. Okay. Okay. Final questions. What do you think of 3D printed print in place wallets? Very good idea. People should be doing that. There's been a few of them. I've seen a few people selling them through portals. They're pretty slick. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Glad the videos have been helpful. Can I do this? How do I do this? What's that? Oh, I can just send out hearts. Yay! Celebration! We're leaving 100. We're 100% of the way there. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'll see y'all on the flip side. We're doing these streams about weekly or so. So hopefully I'll see you back around again. Alrighty. See y'all later. And we're